everyone, and welcome to another educational video about screen printing by Catspit Productions. I'm Jonathan, I'm your host, and today I just wanted to do a really quick tips video because if you remember, I did a vlog last week and I showed you my electric bike and the construction that's going on in the back of the shop, and it's like they're out there today with some trucks. So if you hear some big trucks and the reverse beeping noise and all that, that's what's going on out that way. And I have my neighbors are over here today. They're doing something over next door, so you might hear some noise from them as well. But while this construction is going on, and I'm getting ready to adapt to the hot weather and shooting in the heat back here, we'll do a couple quick tips videos about some questions that I get asked a lot, such as, what is the best mesh count to use for this? Or what is the best mesh count to use, period? There seems to be this question that I get asked that is looking for a mesh count that will blanket, everything they do. What's the best mesh count to use, period? And, we've done videos in the past about choosing your mesh count, right? So I will link in the video description to some of those. But the deal is that especially with plastisol inks, with plastisol inks, we want to use the lowest mesh count possible that you can render the artwork on. Okay, so what that means is that if you can render the art on a 110, use a 110. If you can't get the detail off on a 110, jump up to a 130. You can't get it on a 130, move to a 160. If it renders on a 160, bam, that's your best mesh count for that artwork. Okay, so with plastisol inks especially, we try to use the lowest mesh count possible that you can render the artwork on. Okay, with water-based inks, they tend to be a little bit thinner. Okay, so we can start at a higher mesh count, like 160, depending on the thickness of the ink. If it's really runny, you might be on a 200 just because it's runny. Okay. The Amex water-based inks that I sell, they're kind of thick like cake frosting. Not thick, but they don't run on the screen really. Most of the general colors, there's a couple metallics that are really runny, but the colors, when you lift the screen up, they don't run or anything. So the Amex ink you can actually print pretty easily on a 125, 160, you know what I'm saying? But again, in that situation, the best mesh count is going to be the one that you render the artwork on perfectly and wholly, all the detail. You know what I'm saying? So, with water-based inks, if you're on a 156 or 200, you're probably going to be able to render pretty much, whatever you need, with the exception of really highly detailed halftones. They might require a higher mesh count. Okay, so again, really, generally speaking, usually the best mesh count for your job is the one that you can render the artwork on perfectly while not being too high so that it makes you work hard to print the ink, and not being too low so that it prints too much ink and blurs out or floods out. Does that make any sense? Okay, so when you ask me what is the best mesh count for this scenario or this scenario, I'm always going to tell you with plastisol inks, use the lowest mesh count that you can possibly render the artwork on. And with water-based inks, I'm going to say if the water-based ink is really runny, start around 160, maybe 200. If it's runny to the point where you lift the screen up in the press and it's going down into the back, that's pretty runny. So you could probably start on a 160 or a 200. But again, the artwork will demand or determine the specific mesh count needed to render it successfully. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Sorry. If you have questions about it, go ahead and ask in the comments below, but open the video description and check out some of the videos that I'll link to about choosing your mesh count. All right, I hope that helps out. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate your time and attention. Don't forget to check out CatspitScreenPrintSupply.com if you need screen printing equipment or supplies. Thanks again for watching, and of course, we'll see you next time.